saying all this stuff, and halfway through it, I see one of them like tapping the other one, and they're like, "Fuck, man, let's get out of here.
Yeah, yeah, you took it too
It's
far,
too out
Campbell.
there. Took it too far, man."
I know. Well, this is like this beautiful older lady, probably 80s, and this like lovely young woman who was
Oh, is
sort
she
of like
single? No, she's a Christian.
no,
Oh,
she's
I
too Christian
bet.
for you. But she was just like really like wanting to come and help people like feel positive about reality in life, which is nice. But
Well,
you
that's
know,
good. Yeah, that's what they
they
should be doing. Yeah, that's
yeah.
actually acting like a Christian. Yeah.
But I took it too far. I took it to the next level. I went too far, but they followed. They carried on. They were in. It was good. We went
So
straight to straight to the
you should have
spiritual
said, "We're
war.
about to do a podcast. You want to join us?"
I was like, listen, we talk on alternative history, and the Bible's a fundamental reference point to what we talk about. So, yeah, it was good. Anyway, hello, Tartaria Australia. I've just pressed record before we even started. Hello,
Yeah,
just so we
man.
have a good
Gee,
chat because
hello.
hello, because we I just this morning some lovely people came door knocking to me to spread the word, man. And
Good
so, of
man.
course, yeah, I was in. I like it when people come are courageous enough to come and like spread the word of their belief structure. I'm into that. I just took it to the too far.
Yeah,
I took it to the next level.
too far.
Yeah, too far. Too far,
Yeah,
Campbell.
we used to get these young Mormon guys coming around, and we we had a chat with them, and they're like, we let they're like, "Oh, can we come in and talk to you?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, come in and have a chat," and blah blah. And they make you sit down, and they say something, and they're like, "Can you feel God?" And I'm like, "No, sorry." But then because we were cool, they kept coming back, and then
Yeah,
they
man.
turn up like Judy would let them play like the Nintendo and shit with the kids, and they'd come around and play video games.
Well, you see, look, as far as I'm concerned, if you've got a belief structure and it's positive, like it's there to want to spread, you know, the sense of community and good vibes and generosity and joy and
Fundament-
all that good, that squishy stuff, all that hallmark stuff, then fuck, if you've got the courage to come door knocking to strangers, I'm like, yeah, man, respect. Like, let's have a chat.
Yeah.
I love a good conversation, especially on those topics, as we know.
Yes, yes. Yeah, well, I mean, they're being true to the Bible, right? That's what it's supposed to be, not this like, come and listen to me, and oh my God, if you disagree, you shall be cast down to hell. Oh.
Well, I mean, I would enjoy those chats as well. Let's go. Let's talk about that too.
Really? Where is hell?
Let's talk about hell. So,
What is the
welcome to episode blah 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 of Tartaria Australia. So, Campbell and I are just logging on because it's been a while. And last episode was great. We really didn't know how the carnival conversation would go, but I'm telling you, man, like every friggin' master healer I speak to at the moment, every master energy worker, they're like surrounded and immersed in the carnival concept, and it's really like taken off in the truth seeking community like hardcore. So like it's
Hmm.
definitely worth your considerations. And the amount of comments we got of people who are on it or have been on it or have been on it for years, like we're behind the mark, man. Like
Yeah, I
honestly,
know,
everyone
right? Bit
really
slow to
good.
this one, but oh, sorry, I've had lots of messages too from people,
Yeah.
saying that they've tried it because of that podcast, and a lot of vegos and vegans, and with good results, right? So, this is the thing, right? It's such a long running conspiracy, right? This has been going since the
Oh,
60s, man, since flower power, right? Like it's all this, that the only way to save nature is to not touch it, but that means that we're disconnected from it. We're not part of it. And life is a cycle, right? Life is, I mean, all there is life, death, and rebirth. That's all there is down here. So, this cutting out of it, and I guess it's also, what value do you put on life? Is it an animal worth more than a flower, or more than 10,000 wheat plants that you need? And but apart from that, it's I don't think we don't do well on sugar and carbs, and that's what all this stuff essentially is, apart from the veggies, which are full of oxalates. And as we said, we didn't even have these veggies 100 years ago, so they're not even actually food, right? They're introduced almost GMOs, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
there's a deep history that we haven't even touched on with the introduction of our diets and what that's looked like over the since the last reset essentially. We don't even know, like that's like one big question mark over the whole Tartaria topic is the food side of things. Like our attention's been on that for 2 years. Where is it? What did they eat? Why didn't they have, but all that stuff we've been through a million times. So to actually bring it up to date within this reset and actually look at it from this angle, like it's fascinating to me. And of course, Cambell, like I'm going to India and China of all fucking places. Like, can you believe that? Like from the cesspit of Melbourne into the cesspit of China. I don't know what my destiny is about this, but I've had an interesting relationship with China, and my first experience of the Mandela effect was actually it was Chinese, because I actually was present when I was 13. I've told this story before, at the Tiananmen Square massacre. And
oh yeah, that's right.
yeah, we just happened to be in the country on a holiday, and I just was mind blown by China. I loved it hardcore. Of all the places we traveled to, that was the one that just like immersed in my mind, the ancient mysteries, and I loved it. So I was really attuned in that on that trip. And yeah, 1989, and we got like rushed out by soldiers from Beijing as the Tiananmen Square massacre took off, and then sat in this little hotel room in Hong Kong with my family, like avidly watching the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, and obviously we watched the student get run over by a tank, and that was the crisis point that brought the world's attention to the human rights issues with China. And it was a massive issue, in 1989, and all these like it was big. And then cut to 2017, the first thing I saw on the Mandela effect was the Tiananmen Square massacre, and they presented all media that I could find presented this idea that the student wasn't run over. He actually climbed on top of the
Jumped on the
tank
tank.
and waved a flag, and absolutely in the reality that I experienced, like fully as a 13-year-old, fully engaged and avidly watching, didn't happen. So that was my introduction to the Mandela effect. And man, oh man, like to end up back in China now in 2023, like that's pretty bizarre course of like my life. I just think it's really
Yeah,
bizarre.
it's a strange one, isn't it? I mean, you don't. This is the thing. Like, it would go around the world, right? If China's military ran over one of their, civilians on camera in the street in front of everyone, that would go around the world. But if the dude jumped up on the tank and right, it's not the same story,
Yeah.
right? It wouldn't, initiate the same emotion and the same action that happened. So it's a weird one, right? I mean,
Yep.
Mandela
Yep.
effects, man. I also find it interesting that that it's named after Nelson Mandela, because some people think he died in jail, and he obviously didn't. But what a Buddhist paint, right? Mandela's.
Yep. Yep. It's a big thing. It's a code. It's code. Definitely interesting for it to like hit our consciousness a couple of years ago, and like how fun was it? Mandela effect has been fun. It's been fun. I actually do believe I experienced one in my own home a couple of days ago, to do with a missing steak, but we'll talk about that in a
Yeah,
minute. It's just
this is
like, whoa, like I remember in Dallas a couple of years ago, and I was living with my partner at the time, and uh lost the laptop. The laptop was lost, right? And convinced that this laptop was missing. And it was always on in the same place in the bedroom, always there. And like everything got a bit frantic about where this missing laptop was. And so I got up and finally went and looked for myself and couldn't find it and didn't see it and looked everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. And then 2 minutes later, my partner went into the bedroom and the laptop was on the bed. Like undeniably was not there, no one else in the house, impossibilities. And I was just like, that's fucking Mandela effect, right? Something happened. That was it. I like play witness to the disappearance and reappearance of this laptop in a like in one night. So I mean, I don't know if you'd call that the same energetic of the Mandela effect, but something definitely has the ability to slip us in and out of realities and objects and people, places, things, times, events, in and out of our coherent concept of reality. It's definitely a fucking great
Mm.
topic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've all lost keys, right? and looked in 10 places, and we go
Yeah.
back to the first place we looked and they're there. And it's like, definitely weren't there before,
Yeah.
and so, what does all this mean? I mean, kind of means that we're creating reality, right? But maybe it means that, that the powers that want to be can somehow get in there and direct our thoughts a bit so that, because we know they can't create, they want us to create reality. So maybe it's part of them trying to get in and alter stuff and, a few glitches, but it definitely points to the fact that this is not a static physical,
No,
reality, right? There's
no.
a lot more going on. Everything's energy, as we know, right?
Yeah, man. And I did my highs. I was meant to do a high self reading with Maggie. I mean, I can't even tell you guys. I'm like, I fully fucking recommend this woman because as you guys have known, on the last 6 months, I've been in a very cynical disposition, shall we say? And over the last couple of weeks, some major shifts have happened internally for me, major shifts, and like all I can say is there's been a coming together of a few attributes. One being the shift to this diet. That's like had a profound impact on my physical being, and obviously mentally, it's like cleared out a bit of stuff. I mean, I don't even think we really understand yet what happens when you take a brain and then like pump it full of fat and see like what happens with that brain and remove all of the sugars and carbs and all that additional. It's a bugger that poison tastes so delicious. It's a bugger that we've been infiltrated on that way, like, and and it's been an interesting progression because then I've combined that with this work with Maggie, and man, like, talk about finding your right energetic healers. Like, as far as like our soul groups go, I truly believe the healers amongst us who are rising right now in their abilities, like seriously, they're just getting more and more powerful. And we obviously are shifting in a way that facilitates the impact more and more and more. And then finding those beings that you've known forever, that you would consider them soul family to you because you're familiar with them even though you've not met them. Well, their job right now is to like heal and elevate their soul family. So if you connect to me and Cambell as soul family and feel like there's a familiarity with us, with you, then your instincts will be absolutely accurate. And thus, when someone in your soul family recommends modalities or healers or ideas, like, they're worth noting. So my work
Hmm.
with Maggie and my change in this diet has, for some amazing out, like, and we've done some cord cutting, like, which is really interesting because I'm someone who has done, like all of us, we've all done a lot of work on ourselves individually, over the years. Like, a lot of us have come through or at the tail end of the 7-year cycles where we've been through like cyclic, maturings, I guess. And in
Mm.
all of that, um something in me has just like clicked into gear. Something has clicked into fucking gear, man. And
Man,
because of,
what I
yeah,
want.
yeah, look, I'm really recommending it. Definitely, we leave her information down and just send her an email, see what your vibe is, and like let her know that we've recommended you. And she's gonna love you all up like family, man. Like, it's cool as. But like, Maggie's one of many amazing healers. Like, it's always been prophesized that this time the healers will rise to be in service to their soul family, and that is definitely happening. I can definitely testify to that. So even if you feel like you're doing pretty good, even if you feel like you're cruising right now, like, this sort of work is just going to fine tune, clear out the cobwebs, cut any gritty energetic weaknesses or holes in your field, or any things that have been sort of targeted at you, just all this stuff, like, and then it just sort of like, for some reason right now it's just like such a good time to what would be the word, integrate and click into gear. And that's
Mm.
that's
Yeah, well, that's part of the healing, right? A lot of people only see healing as physical. I've got this problem, I've got this problem, but clearly there's another big problem out there, right? And that's people integrating their mind and their thoughts with the new whatever, right? The new earth, where they want to go, how they want to change. There's, a lot of people want change, want something different, but they're not quite sure what it is, or if they did, they don't know how to get there.
Yep.
So I've just sent Maggie an email, so I'm going to be
Yep.
doing one as well. So I'll report back on that. I could use a
Yeah.
bit, bit of cord cutting
Because
myself.
yeah, man, because like ultimately, as we go through all of our deprogramming and our consciousness is opening broader and broader and broader, and there's all this energetic shifts going on in this reality right now, and that's a fact. Like, there's no denying that. Reality is shifting and it's speeding up, and everything is moving. And if we could only sort of like recognize, if we could see it in a tangible sort of way, we would be all very convinced instantly.
Mm,
But like, because you can't, you've got to like know it onto yourself. I mean, that's its magical power, right? Like for me, one of the greatest things to do right now is seek counsel with your higher self. Like, it's just like a no-brainer. If you're going to seek counsel with anyone in reference to you, do it with your higher fucking self, man. My higher self is very chatty. It's got a whole vibe going on. It's got a whole vocabulary. It's got a whole accent going on. And it's funny.
right.
It's a funny, enjoyable character, my higher self. And like, all you're really doing is just, Maggie will get you into, and all beings that work in this way, all healers will get you into a state where you're basically entering that theta state. She does all this beautiful energy work on you. It's all online, and then yeah, you just write out a whole list of questions, anything, big or small, irrelevant or relevant, philosophical or practical, whatever it is. There's no judgment there whatsoever. And then she asks your higher self, and you just like get out of the way and let your higher self answer. And it's a really rocking event. My last session, my higher self said that the month of October is going to get a bit weird, Campbell. It's going to get a bit weird.
October. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. It's going to get a
We're
bit
both
weird.
going to be like out of the country. Oh my gosh.
Yep. I'm going to be in India. Like,
India. Well, that's weird by itself,
that's
right?
fucking
But
weird. Yeah. So like, I probably won't even notice because I will be immersed in weirdness. But yeah, and so my higher self, yeah, was talking about October getting a bit weird, and the solution to getting weird is that you've got to get weirder. Right? That's the solution. You got to get weirder, man. You got to get weirder than the weird. So when
mm,
reality gets weird, like in command your imagination to get weirder, and you will
mm,
just fly through with shining colors.
mm. And
That's
of course, weird used to mean spiritual. But William Shakespeare changed the meaning in one of his plays. That's where it comes from. But it used to mean spiritual. So yeah, man, time to get more spiritual, right? So have you found that have you got a better connection with your higher self during the day, like after you've had these sessions, like your communication with your higher self is better, or is it just during the sessions?
it's a really interesting question because like obviously like your ability to get out of the way and let your higher self come through and communicate comes down to your ability to be in your intuitive mind and be relaxed speaking. Like, I trained in alchemy many years ago, and part of that training was to learn to do psychic readings. And the way that we were taught to do psychic readings was to basically request a symbol representing that person's greatness, or that person's what was it, current reality. And when you request the symbol, you're then taught how to just speak without thinking on that symbol, because that symbol is unique to your interpretation, and it's the interpretation of that symbol that you only start to unravel as you just get comfortable speaking without stopping, because it's you can speak without thinking, then that magical psychic access seems to come through really powerful. Well, it does for me anyway. So
Mm,
so because of that training and my comfortable nature with telling stories and speaking and just talking, as we know I can do, it's really effortless for me to get out of the way and let my higher self communicate. Like, this, my brain doesn't judge it. And as much as like once you've left the session, and do you have a more clearer communication process with your higher self during the time not in session? My answer would be that what has happened to me is that I have felt like a natural integration of everything that was spoken about from my higher self. So there's been a natural activation. It's like my systems have all synced in. It's like my neuro pathway is synced in with my energetic centers. It's like everything has started to become whole again. And as a result, I feel like I am embodying my higher self more than ever, if that makes sense. It's not like I'm sitting here having a chat or a smoke with my higher self, although I could, I guess, do that. Maybe I'll try to do it while we're talking.
Have
But I definitely feel
a
an
spiritual durry,
integration.
man.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, so like to like put it out there, like Cambell and I have activated this exploration into this diet, but I'm not doing it like a fucking Mormon, man. Like I like smoking. I can't help that. I've been doing it for basically every lifetime for thousands of I mean, I smoke pipes forever. I've always smoked fucking pipes. They've gone on and
No,
on and on.
we still need our wizard pipes, man.
Yeah. I have smoked pipes around campfires and made counsel with masterful beings from all sorts of races and entities from all sorts of clans, all sorts of colors, with multiple arms and eyes and legs and heads and you name it, like all sorts of beings, like the sort of thing you would see in Lord of the Rings. Like I know
Mm.
that I've done that countlessly and always around the pipe and the campfire. So even though this carnivore diet is like an exploration into working with our health and bodies, I have not given up. Look, these glasses are pissing me off, but I'm
Yeah, I
bright.
know.
It's so bright out here. Um, but yeah, I haven't given up smoking, and I still have a cup of tea. So that's me: steak, cigarettes, and tea. I don't know what sort of diet that is. So the fucking rat bag diet, man.
SCT diet, man. Yeah, it's interesting because when we were talking, you were saying that when you are in session, it's all basically your imagination. You have to trust your imagination, right? That's how it comes through the
Yep,
image nation, if you want to call it.
yep,
And of course, that's what gets attacked. That's what we're attacked. That's the first point they attack is our imagination. They tell us it's
yep,
not true, it's not real, and that's the connection to spirit. And
yep,
I think the big part of that is trusting your imagination. So many people don't trust their imagination, right? They just think, oh, it's just a random thought. Oh, it's just this. Oh, it's a silly thought.
yep,
Don't be silly. Blah 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 blah.
yep,
But the ones who do trust their imagination, all the great artists, people who designed all the buildings, the Tartaria and stuff, that's all imagination, right?
yep,
And
yep.
that's all stuff, from source,
I
in my
know.
opinion, whatever that is, your higher self, God, whatever it is, it's something that comes from outside of you, right?
Yep, yep, true. And like they've really hijacked the imagination so much so that they invented Hollywood, which was just purely designed to like take ownership and control of imagination. So, like
Mm,
for the majority of humans on this realm at the moment, 98% of their imagination is actually hijacked and made up by images that Hollywood has presented to them. Like that is the truth.
yeah,
So like they
yeah.
really, and then all this corruption with the food chain has, if we take it down to its like original intention, it's the corruption of that part of your brain. It really does. That's where fluoride in the water came in really powerfully, and all of the poison toxin. It erodes and decays and blocks your beautiful head chakras, if you like. Those
Mm,
beautiful energetic centers that open you up to the wisdom of the intuitive mind, the psychic mind, the telepathic mind, to the ability to take on board the information and to integrate, to be able to say powerfully, it is so, and I'm so grateful for it. This is this sort of level of command. It's really hard in our time period right now to get to. Like, how often do you meet someone who's commanding in that way? Just absolutely, it is so. So be it. It is done. This is my life. This is my choice. This is what I've done. This is what we don't do it anymore because we've lost that sense of command over our imagination.
mm,
That's the one thing that's missing powerfully from what I would consider the warriors of this world. Their
mm.
imaginations have been over this lifetime and since the last reset hijacked to the fucking max.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting point. People used to daydream or, read a book and create their own, pictures, right, in their minds. And like you said, now they sit in front of a telly or a screen and it's uploaded into their mind. And so all the thoughts we're having aren't ours.
I
Right. That's
know.
what we've got to figure out and get back to it. And
Yeah.
also the whole, plant carnivore thing is one of the biggest things that people who go on carnivore say is they get clarity back, that they lose their mind fog. They can
Yeah.
think again, think
Yeah.
of themselves again. So that can be seen as part of the agenda as well, right? To cloud us
100%.
up, disconnect us, and I guess probably to make our minds more accessible to their crap, right? To their media,
100%.
which is of
A
course the
hundred
goddess of
percent.
illusion, right?
Yep, man.
Mm.
100%. And
So
and
it's an
just to add it,
interesting, yeah.
just to add another layer on top of that, Tui was talking this morning and saying to me that was researching more deeply into the carnivore diet and then looking at the impact of light on us, the impact of light, the impact of making sure you spend time in the sun and look at the sun. And if you have the ability to actually gaze at the sun as it's rising every morning, that process is really, really important to the sovereign nature of our minds. And when we watch TV and devices and all that shit, they are actually designed to block that process. So you're not creating that melatonin in your brain. It blocks melatonin creation. So as a result, like, just to add insult to the wound, not only have they hijacked our imagination, then they've given us the technology that further decays it in our viewing of that hijacking of our imagination. So it's a pain in the ass.
Well, it's interesting, right? Let the natural light in, because what do they say in Hollywood, right? Lights, camera, action.
That's
Right, the
right.
false light, right? The false light, the smokeless,
Yep,
light, which is the jinn, right? The false, the L, the closed electronic circuit. So
that's
they've
right.
done, they've
So
done a
that's
job on
so
us.
Yeah, they have. So that's a good thing to note for everyone, like as part of like your reintegration to your physical, because we're in a process right now of reintegrating our physical health and strength. And what I can say about what's happened to me as a result of this energy work and this diet is that I feel so much more in my power. Like there's some that it's if I could name the biggest impact, is that I have stepped more fully into my power. Now, that makes sense to me because the carnivore diet is strong. Like that's what it does. Like it's a strong diet. You're eating like a strong physical diet that's full of red meat, offal, and organs and fat. And that combination there is very powerful in developing strength in your physical body and all of your inner organs, your skin, your cellular level, your blood, all of it. And it's very regenerating for that reason. But ultimately, if I look at it vibrationally, what it does is kick up your power center. It like literally kicks up how you're walking in this world right now. And that's what's happened to me in the last couple of weeks, to the point where I have taken my carbonate to a whole other level,
Yes.
and ma- made some big changes that have been bugging me for years. And for suddenly, out of
Mm.
nowhere, the inspiration came, the vision came, and I just actioned it. And I'm putting that down to the shift in this diet and the energy work. So they're very powerful combination of things to do. And you don't have to, like, just because we've come along across this idea, you don't have to take everyone else's version of it completely as yours. Like, hence, I haven't quit. I mean, I'm smoking weed. Like,
Hey.
that's that's a plant. Tobacco is a plant. Like both of those
Mm.
things are plants. But
Mm.
whether or not
Plant medicine.
the smoking process is different from the digestive process, which I'm certain it is, that they have gone so hardcore making tobacco and marijuana so illegal and so bad, and filled it with such revolting images of people with their feet falling off and the brown packets, and took away all the color from it and all the imagination and bombed us so hard with it to me, that's immediately saying like those two things are like in your favor. Like,
Mm,
stop judging them. We've used them for
yeah.
eternity. And if the
Well,
agenda hates them, trust me, you shouldn't.
mm, yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like, if you smoke and every time you have a cigarette, you're like, oh my God, this is killing me. Well, I'm pretty sure it'll kill you, right? But
Yeah.
we went and did a course, what, a couple of weeks ago now. And the guy running it was talking about his granddad who lived to 98 and was smoking Camel cigarettes until
Yeah.
basically the day he died.
Camels.
And working, right? Yeah. And what did he have? 25 kids, 25 children, lived to
Yeah.
98, smoking Camels every day. So, but the thing is, he was happy and he loved life. He was
Yeah.
always joking and jovial and enjoying himself. And that's much more important than, doing what you're told, I guess, because a lot of people out there quit smoking, not because they don't enjoy it or they want to, but because, family tell them to, or the doctor, or they think
Yeah,
it's
they got
killing them,
feared.
right?
They
Yeah,
got
it's
fear
fear.
shamed.
Yeah,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
And by the way, if you are going to smoke tobacco, go the organic.
Oh yeah,
Don't do
obvious.
the
That's
processed
obvious.
chemical stuff. Make sure it's
Yes.
organic.
Oh yeah. I we speak like this as if that's a given because of where we are with our consciousness. Obviously, we
Yeah.
only go with that we go with all the things that don't have chemical toxic poisons. I would never smoke um any sort of plant medicine like marijuana that's grown in a lab or grown with false lights
No,
or anything like that. Never, never, never. I would
no,
only ever
that's a good one.
consume the plants that have been like, they're organic, they're outside
Mm,
in nature, and they're full of natural light. Like that's like honestly, I
yeah,
think if you look at your diet, um, you could really start making choices based on what's had natural light and what has not. Because light
yeah.
is really fucking important.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I'd never thought of it that way. Like, we all know, and it's coming out more and more that, hydroponics, not good for you. That's the stuff that's giving people mental issues and all this kind of stuff. And that is grown under false light, right? Under smokeless fire. Um,
Absolutely. Yep.
just like they have us sitting in buildings under smokeless fire.
Yes.
So this is the gin and the closed circuit. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, so all the industrial food, all of the processed food, all of the factory farm food, all of the factory farm vegetables and greens, all of those things have been corrupted by the light that they've been grown under. And that corruption, like, carries on. I mean, there's this poison we talk about, and we just talk about from a light quadrant. The poisonous light quota, where they start to take more and more light away and replace it with artificial light through the growing process, like
Yep.
that means that the toxicity in that grain or that plant that they're feeding to that animal or they're putting on those plants or they're putting into those processed food, like they basically increases in toxicity till it gets to the alpha predator. So we, being the humans, are the alpha predator. So when you like eat these foods from that sort of chain, you're getting the biggest hit of the toxicity as the alpha. So, like, just to consider that from a diet perspective, light is fucking man. It's I reckon that above everything else, above every pesticide, herbicide, fungicide, fucking sugar, whatever it is, like it will come down to light being the most potent
Mm.
ingredient to what becomes corruptive to the human light soul being.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what do plants need to live and grow, right? Pretty much light and water, and the ground. Obviously, they need to be grounded, but it's light and water. And then what do we need? We're in the same realm. We need light and water that's uncorrupted, right?
Yep,
Proper
yep,
light. It's because that's what fire is, right? A tree will absorb light its whole life, and when it dies, you burn it and it releases the light. That's what fire is, right? It's releasing
yep,
the light back out with smoke, by the way. So it's not smokeless, it's a good stuff. So yeah, that's a good thing to consider, like that's because everything on this realm runs off the same, power sources, right? Pretty much
yep,
the sun and water.
yep,
So if we're doing that, corrupting that ourselves by staying under fluorescence all day and drinking, fluoridated water, then we're just as bad as the plants that do that. And then if we do that, and then eat the plants that have been raised that way as well, we talk about the light so much, right? And we're disconnecting from the light. right?
That's
From
right.
from light source.
That's right. And when you're trapped in an office, when you know, a whole like work process has been moved inside, like the last couple of years, how much did they attack the lights? Literally that way. They literally took people out of their communal workspaces and forced them to work in their kitchens or lounge rooms or bedrooms at home, isolated but inside. And they did that. And then they made going out for exercise, you know, you get 5 minutes or they, you know, an hour. Otherwise, you get a fine. And they made like being outside really problematic. And actually, one of the rumors on the channel, you know, 12 months ago was that there was going to be a fungicide, a fungus. Fergus the fungus was going to be released into to follow on from COVID-19 and to basically make people terrified of being outside in nature, anywhere where there would be like plants growing, basically. So I haven't seen that, and that was meant to originate from India, ironically. But I haven't seen that made manifest in our realm. But you know, it's a possibility because if they are basically trying to corrupt the light source that we are, the star seeds that we are, those from light and made of light, the cultured human, as we learnt this week, um, when they do that to us, right? Their biggest weapon is to remove the quadrant of light that we have access to. So,
Mm.
and it's interesting, Campbell, because one thing on this diet that like has been to note for me is that I keep waking up at fucking 4 o'clock in the morning. Every
Damn.
single morning. I'm awake.
Ah, God, I got woken up by the cat trying to get under the blankets last night. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yep,
So trying to
right.
squirrel his way down. But yeah, I mean, it's a good thought, right? Like if we're talking about false light, then that's
Yep,
right. That what's that telling you in the bigger picture is TV is a false light. The light
yeah,
from your phone is a false light, which means that pretty
yep,
much everything coming out of that is false, right?
yep,
It's not
yep,
real.
yep.
So, so yeah, that's a good point.
And it's interesting because like waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I had to debate, you know, like, A, why am I waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning? And what do I do? Do I wake up or do I try to get back to sleep? So for the first couple of weeks, I was like, nah, I'll try back to sleep. And then over the last maybe 2 weeks, I've been like, all right, I'm going to utilize this time and I'm going to read. So I've been getting up and reading, and it's been giving me 4, 5, 6, so like almost 4 hours of reading time, which I haven't had for years. And it's been really cool like that. But what relates to this conversation is that I've also over the last 2 days been thinking when that sun rises, I am awake and I should be out there to watch it rising. I should start increasing my light quadrant because this diet, for whatever reason, is making me wake up before the sun. So, in all these years of my spiritual pathway, where everyone said, you know, get up 3 a.m., that's the best, that's the most psychic time, or get up and walk with the sun. Like, I've never been able to pull it off because I'm a night owl, right? It just never naturally happened. I always kind of wake up at 8 o'clock. But now I'm going to just start utilizing it as part of my destiny, and I'm going to start
Mm.
to like welcome the sun in every morning. And I think that's going to have an even more fucking a remarkable result on my feeling of power right now.
Mm. Yeah, man. I think I need to start doing a bit of sun gazing with barefoot, right? Connect your soul to the earth, get grounded, and yeah, look at the power source, look at the sun, the direct sun, and you know, there's studies, you know, done on how the eyes react with sunlight and all this kind of stuff, and what it turns on in your mind, and you know, it's all documented. It's good for you, you
Yep.
know. But of course, the false light, you know, the TV and internet, they'll tell you,
Yep.
oh no, don't do that. You'll burn your retinas out. Oh, it's all bad for your health, and rah rah rah, and all this
Wear
kind of stuff.
sunglasses. Don't stare at the
Wear
sun.
sunglasses. Yeah,
So,
no, right. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
well, these sunglasses I'm wearing right now, according to this concept, are fucked, man. I should not be wearing
Mm,
sunglasses because it's blocking my natural access to the light. Now, I've only
mm.
decided that that's probably true in the last couple of days, so I will slowly wean my way off
Taking
sunglasses,
them.
but not
I know,
today.
right? I think we have to. And they were so crafty with sunglasses, right? Because they made them a fashion statement and cool, you know. They were introduced because all the stars, right? The false light people were wearing them. And everyone's like, oh, that's cool. I need those sunglasses. And they're a real fashion sort of icon
Yeah,
now.
that's right. Remember the Ray-Bans? They were
Yeah,
friggin'
man.
huge, and
With
then
the
I
leather at the side and they
yeah.
went around your ears. Yeah, man.
Yep, everyone wanted. I hated them. They were really ugly. I like the sort of retro vibe, but yeah, that the Ray-Bans were big, man, big symbols, status symbols. But yeah, according to this, like,
Mm,
sunglasses are very corruptive. Screens are very corruptive. I hate bright lights, as Campbell knows. I like create hovels at night, very low lighting, lots of salt lamps, like low lighting. Drive everyone
mm.
crazy with it. But I can't handle anything too bright. I couldn't do your dome, man. That to me, I'd have to take like very serious steps to tone it down in the evening.
Yeah, I need to get some paint in here. I was talking to someone yesterday, and she was saying that one of the reasons that we're all wearing sunglasses and also glasses, right, apart from computers, which again is false light, is because there's too much white light. We're
Yes,
not looking at the color enough, the colors of nature. And she said,
frequency.
you go into nature and walk around, and there's not that much white out there.
Yep.
There's really not. But what's old Jojo, he's just brought out a new rule that he's trying to enforce. No more incandescent bulbs, right? Which have got that orange kind of glow. No, you just got to be under LEDs and all this kind of stuff now. This white flickering light
All under climate change. All under the guise of climate
to
change.
save out
Yes,
to
they
save
will.
ourselves.
Yep,
To
they
save
will.
us.
They will start to stop producing light bulbs with warm light, and they already have in so many ways and cases. But yeah, the other thing that happens with that like lack of natural sunlight is that around our age our eyes get corrupted. Like we start to notice, and we've been kind of indoctrinated that losing your eyesight, needing glasses is like a natural part of growing old. You're just growing old, your eyes are getting weaker, but in actual fact it's a result of the lack of light, your and the lack of balance between the melatonin and the what's the other one?
Serotonin,
No,
is it?
cortisol.
Yeah.
No. Oh, anyway, I'll remember in
Oh,
a minute. I remember in a minute. But yeah, so like our eyes, losing our eyesight is actually not a part of, turning 40. Like, and one of the big things that people say on the carnivore diet is they get their eyesight back. They don't need their glasses
yep.
anymore. Their eyes start to strengthen up again.
Indeed. Yep. So these will be going soon. I'm working
As will
on
mine. Jeez. But the good news, everyone, is I fully believe as a community right now, we are honestly we are on these last few changes, these last few steps are going to be easy, and you are going to find such a strength in doing them, and so much is going to click into gear in your life, and like these activations taking us into this new earth frequency band is definitely upon us right now. So, for these little fine tunings that we're doing right now with the diet, with the light, the grounding, all the little fine tunings we're doing are gonna pay massive results,
yeah.
because I feel like we're at the end of the race, like it's time now that our true powers, our true energetic powers come back online. And Campbell, I've always imagined all the way through my childhood and my dreams that these big balls of blue light like come out of my hands, and I can use them as in any way that I want. But I've seen myself using them as weapons, right? And those balls of blue light have always played on my mind, and you see them through Lord of the Rings and through all the wizards and all the fantasy shows, always this energetic energy that can come through. And all that is an increase in the quadrant of power that's running through our systems. Like all that is like
Mm,
a blasting the energy grid that is ourselves.
mm.
So
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
trying to, yeah. So I feel like our a lot of our innate natural gifts and powers are going to come online with these few little tweaks that we're doing at this time on the realm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, something else that we heard again at that seminar was there's no gain without a loss, right? So, for everyone who's
No, there's
feeling like they've
there's no loss without a gain,
lost without a gain
and then
and
there's no
gain
gain
without a
without a
loss.
loss.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people think like they've lost a lot in the last, couple of years and all this kind of stuff, but that means there's a big gain coming.
Yeah.
But the other thing, as far as wizards and stuff and shooting balls of light, is because they can hold more light, right? When you get down to it, every
Yes.
atom is just light, right?
Yes.
So if that core of every cell in your body is corrupted to a false light, then you can't hold the natural light. So you're literally depowering yourself. You can't hold all the
Yes.
energy. But
Yes.
if you can power up, then you can hold it all, right? And then you can
Yes.
shoot balls at people.
Yes, that makes so much sense. So, of course, the work I've been doing with Maggie has been so profound because one of the big things we did last session was to do a cord cutting and energetically going through my whole energetic body and like repairing any areas where I was losing energy, where my I was giving my power away, where my power was plugged into another source, where and these were energetic attacks or energetic attachments or energetic interference. They were traumas that I'd experienced. They were events that rocked me that I was carrying in and still in my energetic field. And having done that work to like remove it all and cut all those cords and block all those, fucking hell, I can feel the difference. Man, can I feel the
Mm.
difference?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's that's what they love to do, right? They attach us to all these things that don't really mean anything or have any relevance to us. And these people, everyone's worried and stressed out about stuff that's really got nothing to do with them, right? There's a
Yep.
lot of bad in the world, sure, but unless it's your experience, there's not much you can do with it. But people get attached to them and they just leak energy to it constantly, right? They're connected. So that's what the cord cutting is. So
Yep.
if you're out there and you're having issues with letting stuff go, with getting over certain things, and these repetitive thoughts and everything that are negative, then yeah, we'll leave the link below. Maybe get in touch with Maggie, or if you know another healer, and just look
Yep.
into it, right?
Yep.
Get some cords cut and stop the leakage, right?
Yep.
It's like a power station, right? If it's losing half its power, it's not doing very well, But if it can hold it and use it properly, then so much more powerful, right? Full of
Yes.
power. That's
Yes.
what
And
powerful
yes.
is.
And so we look at like if we look at the progression of this thought, like we start with the diet shift, that dropping that paradigm, start with the feeding the very atoms and cells of our body with the highest possible nutritional density. And this diet would say it's the cow. The cow is the highest possible nutritional density for the human being. So akin it is to the human system. So aligned it is with the human system. And the cow then progressed us to the concept of light and moving our physical power sources into understanding its connection to light, into obviously we know grounding and that sort of like progress up till you get to a point where you start to integrate a healer into the mix, and that healer can work on your energetic system. So all of those together are starting to align a human system in a way that feels to me like a direct, very strong pillar upwards. Very direct, strong. It's strong. It's like you're standing there as your own totem. It's like you're starting to feel your sovereignty, your command of reality like roaring through you, like you've suddenly grown dense roots into the earth and risen 70 meters. Like that's energetically the shift that it feels. So like I feel that like as this start, and that's why I think it's like gone through the truth community like fucking bang. Like I think because so many people
Wildfire.
yeah, wildfire, literally instantly getting rid of some some instantly feeling better because their arthritis is gone, or their joint pain, or their back pain, or their their nose issue, or whatever their issue's been, like it's instantly had an effect. And obviously instantly you would lose weight too. So all of those things, just say straight away, this diet has, power to it. Power. This diet has
Mm,
power to it. What
yeah,
diet?
yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, what else? All these other superfoods, right? We see a lot of people spending a lot of money and eating all this
Mm,
stuff, but we're all the powerful people that have come out of it. This has been going on for 30, 40 years, right? But we haven't seen this upsurge in people
nah,
taking back their power, have we? Not at
nah.
all.
That's
But
right. That's true. It has.
go,
Yes, they
but go
haven't
watch a
taken back the
Cambell
power.
podcast, and these dudes are like, whoa, these dudes, they know their power. Like, you
They're
just go
like
and watch.
warriors.
They are. They
Yep.
are. It really, really changes. They're
Yep.
powerful, right? They're full of their own power again.
And
And
they're
just as
strong.
they're strong, stronger
Yep.
body, stronger mind.
Yep.
And just as another interesting point that just came to me is all these fires that are going on. You know, it's being touted that fire, the natural light with smoke, is the bad stuff, right? That this is causing all the destruction. But what are we finding out now? The false light they're shooting down to start them. That's the
Yes.
problem, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
again, it's an inversion, making us think
Yep.
that the natural is the enemy
Yes. Yes.
when it's literally
Absolutely.
it's the smokeless fire that's causing it all.
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely. And I tell you what, like, you have to be very commanding when you choose this diet because it's fucking expensive. Like, literally, because, like, honestly, if you're going to do it, and I really mean this, like, if you are going to do it, I would so highly recommend that you find a way to command your reality that you do it organically. Like, organic meat, particularly steak, is so expensive. Like, it literally, to like have two steaks a day, you know, for two people, like for a week, you're looking at like $450 organic
yeah,
steaks. Like it is expensive, motherfuckers. So, like, and this is like, again, this is the test for yourself, how good can you get at powerfully commanding that those resources turn up so that you can do this diet to the best of its ability? Because obviously,
yeah,
toxicities will go to the fat of an animal, and this diet is about eating fat. So if you are like can't afford to eat organically on this diet, like it's fitty fitty, like it's you're taking that sort of toxicity to your brain. So you got to be clear about where you stand. And if you start and you can't afford that, you start to get good at commanding and know that those resources are going to turn up, because this is your command of reality, because you want to do this to the best of its possibilities. And yeah,
yeah.
it's not a
Mm.
diet for the weak of heart.
No, no, definitely the stronger part, right? Much less heart attacks on this kind of stuff. But that's the thing, it's, we hear, a lot of the, carnivore podcasts, that's one of the big things is it's so expensive. It's so expensive. And if that's what you're going to focus on, well, I'm pretty sure it's always going to stay expensive. But,
Yeah,
if you stand in your power and you're like, well, this is what I'm doing, the universe is here for me, it's just going to deliver, and
yeah,
you just keep going, that then it will, so it's a mental, spiritual thing as well,
yeah,
like getting back into the, not just a powerful body and mind, but powerful manifesting, right? Like taking control of your life and saying, well, this is what I need, and this is what I'm going to do. And also it's because it will cost a bit at the start, it's going to take a bit of time to get it all going. It's asking you, how valuable are you? What's your most valuable thing? Is it more valuable to pay the rent, or to pay, for this car that you drive a couple of hours a day? Or is it more powerful to empower yourself, right? Like to
yeah,
feed your body
yeah,
what it needs,
yeah.
or
It
you're
has
just
to
going to
be a
put that
shift.
aside and just eat their chemicals. Oh, well, it's too expensive. I need to pay for the car, so I'm just going to eat these, whatever,
Yeah,
Fruit Loops,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
It's true.
because we know all the crap food, it's the cheapest. You
Yeah.
can eat cheap if you want to get into carbs and sugar, cheap as.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You can always find ways. It totally depends on your value system. And of course, like obviously the cheapest way to do this diet would be to buy a whole cow, is to actually like have do some sort of farm share, or do something where you're connected to a farmer's market where you're buying half a cow at a time. Then the
Mm,
price of kilos goes down a lot. A lot.
yeah,
So, and each step of the way, that's sovereign journey. Anyway, we were like, obviously, this is all obvious to everyone listening to this, but it's just good to start like plot it out. But man, I tell you what, when I used to drink, and I never did this voluntarily, but when I was handed or requested to drink something like a green smoothie or a coconut, super bliss breakfast thing, or
chai.
all of that
Yeah.
stuff, like or have a bliss bomb, or a raw dessert, all of those things I never voluntarily wanted. And I tell you what, did I ever come out of them feeling strong? Fuck no. I always came out feeling a bit nauseous. Like it never made me feel energized and pumped and
Mm.
commanding. It never made me feel commanding, that's for sure.
No, I mean, yeah, well, you as well. We've both been veggie and vegan a lot and tried all these things. And
Yeah.
yeah, I never had any experience where I had a green super smoothie and went and, suddenly was like, oh, I'm Popeye. Woohoo. I feel so strong. It was just never happened. And I've really never seen anyone else. It's all this idea that we've been fed that this is good for me. This is good for me. And that's why we do it. But what's the practicality? What are the results of that? Are you actually powerful? Are you getting stronger physically and mentally, or are you just, following someone's suggestion, right? That comes from outside of you. That's probably come through the tube, the false
Yep.
light again, right?
Yep.
So it's a good point.
And it's interesting because obviously I'm going to India at the end of September. How cool is
Yeah,
that? Like we're taking Tartaria live. I'll
man.
broadcast live with Cambell from India, and we will start to check out because when I did a Google search on Tartaria in England, India, there's not that much. And then I thought, oh my God, this is so cool. Like we can take this show through our lens, through these amazing sites and cultures of India and really deep dive as a community live on India. But how interesting that India is one nation that has literally banned the killing and eating of cows. The Hindu nation and also like has fully firmly recommended and geared their culture towards a vegetarian diet. I know I can't take carnivore diet to India. It's going to fuck it all up. I'm totally aware of this. I'm going to have to accept that I'm on a cultural experience. I'm on a timeline that like I can't control. Like you can't even buy steak in
That's why
India.
October is going to be an interesting month for you,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna like it's gonna be a process. We'll hear all about it.
Mm,
What happens when you dramatically come off the carnivore diet and throw yourself into the most vegetarian, non-steak eating country in the goddamn world?
I
Thanks,
mean,
God.
you'll, but it'll be a good lesson. I think, you'll really see what the difference is, right? You would have
Yeah.
been, because you had the experience of being carnivore, then you're going to have the experience of, being probably mainly veggie. You're going to really see the difference and feel it, right? In your mind and your
It's
body and
gonna be
everything.
tough.
And India, right? The oldest civilization, in the world with writings, that we can sort of trace back with the Vedas and all these kind
Yep.
of things, and promoted as the country of spirituality, right?
Yep.
Um, so of course it's going to be attacked, right? Like we don't know how long that this cow thing's been going on. When was it introduced? But we've all got this idea of that's just always been that way, and that's probably a big driver, right, of why vegetarianism and veganism is so spiritual, right, and so good for the planet because that's really the push of this food, isn't it? It's not you'll become stronger physically. It's it's
No.
it's more. It's good for the planet. It's good for your soul. It's spiritual, right? Even though Jesus ate fish, we know at least that. And I don't think there's any writings that tell us any of the masters were veggie, but we have this idea that they were. But what's that based on? We just there's all these random ideas that don't really have any basis, but we believe them to be true.
Yeah, I mean the Buddhist religion, they don't eat meat because of its karmic connection, like and like
Come on.
taking the life of sentient beings. So that it's run through Buddhism as well, very powerfully. And I look, it plays on our hearts because we are mammals. We are literally mammal consciousness. We are mammalians, and we are associated with animals. So the concept, the cruelness of the fact that we have to take their lives for our food is like a maturing of our consciousness. Like we have to understand at that point the cycles of this reality. Like we have to have a much deeper, much broader, much more insightful relationship with that process between us and the animals and the food. Like it's just part of our broadening consciousness currently, right? But this lifetime, it's been an agonizing disposition for me as you. And I know that a lot of people would turn to Buddhism or Hinduism, or even like everyone's got weird shit. Like what's and we've got the ones that like drain the blood in a certain way, and the ones that hang the meat. So like kosher meat. There's like heaps of weird stuff. But and then in the Western world, like we our Western world has gone hardcore at making cows the pigeon child for climate change. Like we
Yeah,
have
man, cow
like
farts.
I mean, I think there's probably as many vegetarians in the Western world now as India because of this like amazing brainwashing program they've put on about cows being responsible for climate change. So, they've really done a job systematically. If we look at it from that perspective, systematically across the realm, across all the nations, they've attacked the cow. And like they
Mm,
may put the cow up as reverence, like in India, like it's so sacred, we can't touch it. But ultimately, they've just taken it out of the food chain as an option.
yeah, yep. Yeah, it's just a different way of doing it. And now they're coming after the rest of us with climate change, right? It's to save the planet, it's to save yourself, it's for the children, right? Like for the next generation. But at the same time, all the people telling us this, they're the same ones that go and start wars and kill people.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense? I mean, come on, let's think about this.
Yeah, it's very much
Just
like the plastic bag, paper bag debate at the supermarket.
and
It's the same shit.
straws,
Yeah, same,
bloody
same, same.
paper straws. I saw an article the other day that someone did some tests on these straws, and they're full of chemicals.
Oh,
So they're
yeah,
literally just drinking through them. It's just another chemical infusion, right?
yeah.
Um, so it's yeah, it's just so weird, and all this this plastic stuff and this recycling, right? It's to save the planet, but look into recycling, man. It doesn't actually exist. They give you a bin, but where does it go after the
Yeah,
truck picks it up? It's
no,
just most of it goes to the same place everything else goes. Or they incinerate it, and they tell us I remember back in the 70s, everyone had like a what they called like an incinerator, which was basically a 44-gallon drum, right, with a
yeah,
few holes
yeah,
in the side, and you'd throw
yeah,
all your rubbish and just burn
yep,
it,
yep.
right? And the thing is, when you burn a piece of plastic, right, it turns into this tiny little pebble, if anything, right? But they don't want that. They want us to put actual bags and everything in the ground, and they're
That's
telling
right.
us that's better. That's
Yep,
better. Come
it's such an
on, it
aversion.
doesn't make any sense at all, man.
No, it's a total aversion.
We're
Well, I
just
mean,
being lied to.
yep, the recycling industry that started as an attempt from the competitors of plastic to basically get people to stop recycling their plastic because they kept wanting to, they'd wash out the container and they'd use it over and over and over and over again, and that was stopping everyone else from selling their fucking shit. So the plastic industry invented this idea of recycling, one use plastic to recycle, to encourage us to chuck it out and start again over and over and over again. And Campbell's
Mm.
right. Like if you burn that stuff, it disappears. But if you don't burn it and recycle it, it ends up in the oceans, the animals, it ends up as landfill, it ends up everywhere, which it
Yeah,
has.
and so if you're out there, trying to save the world by eating vegetables and that, are you buying them in plastic? Because like we said on the last one, they've brought back in the paper bags, but only at the checkout. Everything else in the shop and the supermarket is wrapped in plastic,
Yeah,
right? How many animals does plastic kill? All right, if
yeah.
you want to really save the animals, you'd be better off to cut plastic out of your life. That's going to do a lot more than cutting meat out of your life.
And the only way you can do that is to get a little bit of land, start growing shit. Like that's the only way, really. Or farmers markets. Thank God for farmers markets. They are
Yeah.
such a salvation for the city people amongst us. Farmers markets, like find yours just on the
Mm.
basis of plastic alone. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Support your
yeah,
local farmer and try and be, back on the meat thing, try and raise your own stock, raise your own cows, get your own herd going, get some
it's not
people in,
easy.
go in on a few cows and, it's not easy, but what is, what is easy in this life, it's anything worth doing is worth doing well, right? It doesn't mean it's easy, but with a bit of forethought, a bit of planning, you can find a few people you can all put in, get a breeding couple of cows and start breeding your own stuff, and that way you avoid all the stuff because we know that they're grain feeding these cows, which isn't their natural food. They're putting all the grains into them, and then now they're bringing in mandates to jab them all, right? So
Yeah,
again, they're attacking
of
that food source
course.
and trying to poison it, right? So
Of
I
course.
think there's a lot to be said on just watching what's going on, rather than listening to what we're being told. Watch what's actually happening here and have a think about why would they be doing this? And when you put it all together, that the cow farts and the jabbing them and the price of it, which is being jacked up. It's just that's just a scam. Most of it, it's all attacking red meat, right? And
Yeah.
and cows basically. So
Well,
why would
red
that
meat,
be?
yes, red meat and the dairy industry, both of those have been like under huge attack. Like, guys, I work with the agriculture sector, and yeah, man, it's meat and dairy that have basically, especially here in Australia, been really attacked. And that's interesting because, obviously, like dairy is such a big questionable question, but it's interesting that dairy is cow-based product, that those are the two industries. Anything to do with cows have been attacked across the world. It's just good to think about, you know, the
Yeah,
poor
yeah.
cow,
Got to ask questions, man.
the
How
poor
now,
little
brown cow?
cow.
I
So, yeah,
and
well, mm,
was going to say, if you can, raise your own cattle, then you get that connectedness too, which is the other thing that they've severed is our connection to
yeah,
animals, to nature, and all this kind of stuff. If you're connected to your cattle and then you're giving them good lives and that, well, that's much better than buying all this store bought stuff and eating plants even, right? Because cows are actually really good for the land as well, right? They literally use them to regenerate land.
yeah,
Cows, you need them for certain types of land for the land to stay healthy.
yep, yep. It's all about the cow when it comes to regen ag.
It's all about the
When it
cow.
comes to regenerative agriculture, man, the cow's superstar. The cow's the
Yeah,
superstar. Yep.
yeah.
In so many ways. In so many ways. And because this isn't a regenerative carbonate podcast, I won't go into them in detail, but in so many ways. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think I think staring into the eyes of a cow is probably one of the deepest meditations I've ever done in this lifetime, where I literally there was in front of my old farm, there was like a communal area, and there'd be, occasionally farmers would have to bring their cows there. So sometimes I'd wake up and there'd be like 500 cows in my backyard. And wow, I used to go down there and just immerse myself. And it was quite intimidating. Cows are big, dude. They are big. Um, but yeah, there was this one moment, and I literally there was a cow just sitting like on the ground, just lying down. And I just sat quietly beside this cow and just stared into this cow's eyes, and like for a long time. And it was a very deep and profound experience that I had. So I don't know. The fact that those animals are our highest food source, and we have the ability to breed them ourselves, and they regenerate the mother. They literally regenerate the soil and the earth and nature. And that their whole process is in total harmony with the human and the earth. Like these cows are just like the perfect bridge between our physical systems, that of the earth, and then our higher selves. And wow, if I was to like want to really get to know any animal in this realm right now, I think the cow is the king. I think the cow is actually, and it's interesting in India that they've twerked it so that it is a spiritual thing that they've put the cow on. But in doing that, they've placed the spiritual cow above the human, and denied the human the food that is for its highest benefit. So they've hijacked and interrupted the natural, perfected and perfection of that relationship.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's my
I
cow
mean,
poetry. That's my cow poetry for the day.
we'll be expecting a poem on the next podcast. Um, but this is the thing. This is all that happens in life and nature, right? Is animals eat other animals. We have a few that just eat, well, cows just eat grass, but in the end, it's a cycle of everything. Like I said before, it's life, death, and rebirth. But we've been disconnected from that, and they've sort of put all these thoughts in our minds that it's now really really bad what, be part of nature, to be connected is what they're saying. Because why would we be different to every other animal? Why do we have to stand here and create all these weird foods? And because all the foods we eat are created, right?
Mm.
Like all of them. Like breads and stuff, they're obviously all, cooked, and they're not something you can go and pick. There's no bread tree, right? And so all the vegetables have been created. They didn't exist. I mean, like lettuce and all this stuff. Like, do you think, hunter gatherers were running around looking, for this little weed, with like two leaves on it? Like, there it
Yeah,
is. We can
yeah,
eat tonight.
yeah. Woo!
I mean,
Yeah,
they'd use more energy like finding it than they would that they'd get from the food. So,
yeah,
when you really start to think about this, it doesn't make sense. And the only thing that is, holding us in this, this mindset of it's bad is what we've been told from the people trying to rule us. It all
yeah.
comes from them. It all comes from up the line, right? Or from the media, or from all these, experts and these studies and all this kind of crap. Like there's no, physical evidence for anything they say. So why would we believe that on this one topic, that they're out there to help us? We're going to poison your water, poison your air, trap you up inside, put you under bloody fluorescent lights. But when it comes to health, we're out there for you. We're on your side. I mean, come on. Doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
come on,
Come
people. Yeah.
on.
I mean, for sure, in all those ways, definitely. Well, yeah, I mean, damn, there you go. So I think
There you go.
the
So
most natural order of events with that, cows eat grass. Cows use four stomachs to ferment that grass, taking the best nutrients. And then we eat the cow, which then goes through our system and is integrated into every single cell and atom of our body. And then light eats us, you know? And it's just like, it's an interesting, very simple equation, if you like. And then wouldn't it just be like such an easy thing to teach kids, that this is it. This is what we eat. This is how we eat,
yeah,
you know, this is why we eat this. And then all this confusion, that would kill the entire food industry. Like, boom, like there'd be nothing left in any of those stores or factories or industry.
exactly. I mean, just think of the percentage of food that's out there that's natural. Like everything is it's just all created, all in a a factory plant, right? It's just all crap anyway. So, but we're into this, we believe that it's all, like bread, and that comes a lot from Christianity too. There's all these references to bread and stuff, and eat the bread, and that's one of the worst things you can eat, man. Like especially white bread. But
Oh, well,
the whole
Campbell, on that
yeah.
note, I have,
Actually, I had a piece of bread last night.
on that note,
You can make
I have,
carnivore bread, guys.
yes, we have made our second loaf of carnival bread. And can you believe that's even a thing? It's fucking all right. So what you get is like there's three different ways of doing it. And you basically using egg whites and whey powder and cream cheese and some of and baking powders, like very and eggs, of course. And what you get out of that is like what looks like a white loaf of bread, right? And you can slice it. The first one ended up being a hard meringue, so that was a failure. But this one, you can slice it and it's aerated. So you've got so I think the more you whip the egg whites, I mean, so yeah, the whites, the more aerated it becomes. And literally, you can take that bread and put it in the toaster or like pan fry it and make a sandwich or make an egg and bacon roll or have pate. Pate is very good on this diet. Pate. Um, but yeah, so it can be done. Then the next one is it uses pork mince. Ooh, interesting. Yes.
Interesting. Not sure how that works. We will
Well,
be
what did
giving it
you think?
a go.
You tried the progression. You tried the first loaf.
The first
That was
one was not that good.
no, that was like eating a
First
gym mat.
effort.
Yeah, I felt
Yeah,
like I
it
was
was
eating
very
some
chewy.
gross gym mat that wasn't breaking down in my mouth at all.
Yeah, I think I got through about 3 bites. I was like,
Yeah.
but yeah, the one yesterday we toasted it, put some pate on, I ate the whole thing, and it crunched and everything, just like bread. Different, a bit of a different taste, but this is a thing you'll get used. The palate, they've messed with our palate, right, as well, with all this
Oh, they've
sugar, so that
hijacked it so
mm,
bad. Poisonous stuff
yeah,
tastes so good. What a
I know.
crazy concept. That is a crazy mental reality. Poison tastes good. I mean, oh, how messed up are we?
Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, it is, right. And of course that's, all this sugar, man. It's like that's what you give kids, right? Get them started, give them all the colored sugar at birthday parties and everything, and for rewards, give them all this stuff. And that's why you go to a supermarket or a shop, and as you're checking out, everything's sugar. Everything's just sugar. That's like literally when you're going down the aisle, you're just surrounded by sugar. And so all the kids start going crazy, right? Because
Oh,
they're
delicious
addicted, man. Give me
poisons.
more. Yeah, yeah.
Delicious, delicious poisons. I
Yeah,
know.
man. That's
I know.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, then we have all the celebrations, Easter's, birthdays, Christmas, all the Valentine's Day. It's all about chocolate and sugar. It's all about sugar. They're just like
Birthday
big,
cakes, wedding
yeah,
cakes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's just, yeah. And like the other day, I did have one, I've had one day where I was craving sweet things, and I
Oh,
had this
what'd you have?
fantasy. Yeah, I had this full-on fantasy of a giant, like solid block of Cadbury's chocolate, where I could just like eat the whole thing in one sitting, and just do that. Like, and I kept thinking, when was the last time I did something like that? It would have like, probably decades ago, but like just the whole block. But I was thinking like my fondest memories, my fondest like memories are not of eating my 90% cacao organic chocolate. No, my fondest memories are those like poisonous blocks of
Cheap stuff.
Toblerone
Yeah.
and
The
caramello koalas
Cadbury's.
and yeah, Quality Street tins of Quality Street chocolates and
Quality streets, man.
yeah, I love them. I freaking love them. We had these big tins growing up and all the purple ones. My dad, he used to steal all the purple ones out of the Cadbury chocolate tins. Anyway, yeah, our childhood memories have been set. We set our childhood memories around how delicious poison is. Like they get
Mm.
set. They become our favorite memories. We want to experience them again. So I haven't formed any of those memories around my 90% organic cacao chocolate. Like I haven't. Like those memories were built in me when I was a child, you know,
Mm.
back in the industrial 80s.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's the first thing we get the kids into, man. Get them addicted, get them young, right? And then
Oh,
and
Tim
then that
Tams.
stuffs up their palate for life. Tim Tams, man. Tim Tams and coffee.
Mate, mate,
Jeez.
sucking those little bastards up out of the
Yeah,
cup of
yeah.
tea. Like, if you're English, oh, you've missed out on the Tim Tam. Very Australian concept there.
Yeah,
But
don't
we
do that
loved it.
anymore though, because poison.
No, we
Do
don't do that
it with a
anymore.
steak.
Yeah, there's
But I mean,
nothing
this
like,
is this is also it makes you strong. Right? You've got to stay away from all obviously on the carnivore. You can't have any of that stuff. Like you severely restrict your diet. But when you look at it, all you're cutting out is everything that's bad for you. It's all
yeah,
crap. All this stuff that we crave and
yeah,
that it's bad for us. It's killing us. So
yeah.
yeah,
Look,
time for let the
I have
light
to
in.
conf I have to confess that it's a bit boring. Like, that's the thing. And just to keep it real, and tonight I feel like drinking beer. So, I'm just like, but I think I just want to have a little blowout from there because it is a bit groundhoggish day. I mean, you just got to know that that's true. It's a bit groundhoggy. You're
Mm,
basically making the same food like every
yeah.
day.
Mm, yeah.
And I
But I
think
think
it's a net.
that again is a program, right? Like we said before, it's celebrations, right? All these happy times and celebrations are all centered around food and around bad food. And so that's sort of what gets in our minds and our memories, and that we're supposed to be able to have all these stuff and we feel good and there's good times associated with them. But I think after a while of being on carnivore, that food, becomes less important, right? It's just a food source then. It's just something you do because you have to live. It's just something that you have to replenish your energy. It's not this event. You don't have to spend hours and hours preparing all these, different foods and stuff and sitting around and eating them. It's just become something, and then eating and cooking so much less of your day. You've got so much more time. But
Which you
again,
need
yeah,
because
it's
time is
boring.
sped
This
up.
will take time. Yeah, exactly. We could all use a bit more time at
But
the moment.
it takes a bit of you have to use a bit of time to wash up all the fat off all the
Yes,
cooking
that's one thing.
utensils. Just no
It's
loss
one
of that
thing we're
again.
working about. That yeah, there is a bit of that around. But on the bright side, you don't need a kitchen. You just need a barbecue, and you're good to
Yes,
go.
that's true. Yeah, an outdoor kitchen for the carnivore diet is fantastic. Definitely, definitely the way to do it. Definitely. Yeah, so well, look, I mean, I just think I have to balance this whole process with my little, you know, I gotta have a moment where I want to get have a
Yeah,
glass of wine. The difference is that if you do choose to have a couple of glasses of wine, then the next day you will feel terrible, like because your body's just gone into it's just had a big dump of sugar and you just freaked it out. So as long as you know that, like, then it will still survive. Like I just know if I drink wine now, I get slapped in the face the next day. Okay, cool. I just have to know that's the deal and we're off, and my body could handle it. Because, I don't know, Campbell. I like having a glass of wine around the campfire with my joint buddy. I just do.
yeah, I know. Well, I think the thing is we're getting over 50 years of programming, right? Well,
Yes,
45 years of
that's
programming.
right.
So
You gotta have
it's going to
fun.
take a while. We've only been here a few months. So yeah, if you fall, you need a day off, or have a day off. Don't be too hard on yourself. But in the long run, I think, we'll start to adapt. But the main thing is this is all we know, right? All we know is, this massive arrangement of food and all these different types and sugars and colors and all this stimulation, for our senses. And that's what we think food is when
Yeah.
it's really not that important. It's not. I mean, look what food's doing to people, man.
Well, it's an important weapon. It's a very important weapon. Yeah, I mean, look, and one thing that we've deep dived on, there's different levels to this diet, and actually avocados seem to be fine. Avocados, they're very low oxalates and they're very high fat. So I would say, I'm going to add the avocado in sometime. And raspberries and blueberries, very low oxalates, but good for vitamin C. So, I'm not opposed to bringing in apparently cucumber
No,
without the
I'm
skin and the
gonna.
seeds,
Yep, yep.
whatever that is.
Lemon juice, lemons. I'm gonna have a couple of oranges every now and again. So it's there are. I think that we can work out. I don't think you have to be 100% strict on this. I think we can look at other natural foods. But this is the thing, like how many of these foods are actually natural? Like we said before, all these vegetables they didn't exist 100 years ago. So I think fruit's better than vegetables, but there are options, and if 95% of what you're eating is the right thing, then it's not going to make that much of a difference if you have an avocado here and an orange there, and a bit of ginger beer maybe. I had a ginger beer the other day. That,
Yeah, Zach,
that
confessions
was
of
that
the
was good.
carnivore.
That's the other thing is drinking, right? Just water, man,
Oh
and
yeah, the water. So
electrolyte.
I've become very I need the mineral water, the sparkling water that seems to like cut through the fat palette of the this diet. Like I really enjoy having it with my dinner, mineral water. It's kind of become the new
Yeah,
beer in my life. And it's cold and bubbly. But yeah, like electrolytes are the only thing we drink at the moment with any sort of flavor. So go the electrolytes, man. Just get the organic
electrolytes,
ones,
man.
right? And get the keto ones because they don't have sugar in, unlike all the other electrolytes. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely quirks of this process that'll be fun to work out. But anyway, you guys all get to come and watch my demise as I go to India. And then we go from India for like 3 weeks where you're going to watch my fall from grace and see how let's just see how bitter and cynical I get again. Let's see if like my commanding space turns back to the dark side where I'm just pissed off by everything ridiculous in this reality, especially in India. Like of all places are going to infuriate me, that clash of religious bollocks that comes in 1,000% magnified will like be all around. But then I directly follow that with 3 4 weeks in China, which we're not going to do the main cities. We're going into the beautiful ancient rural villages, and mate, like that's I don't even know what they really eat, but like I'm gonna I don't know. Do I might bets are on, bets are on. Cam was going to start a little, what's the word where people can put money to a
Oh,
little betting racket. Am I going to come out of this like inspired and feeling powerful and commanding, or am I going to like slowly be a shell of my current
yeah.
self?
You're going to walk powerfully and purposely into India, and then 2 weeks later, you'll be like, I hate this place. I hate
Yeah,
everything. This
yeah,
one
absolutely.
sucks.
Where's the mutton? Give me the mutton.
Show me the mutton.
So obviously I can't take us into China because I can't like it's so intense. But
Record.
maybe that's all bullshit and we don't know until I actually get there. But I will I will do a visual diary as I'm going through everything, which we can air in one big hit when I get home and out of the
Yeah.
the Chinese surveillance grid, so to speak. It's very sensitive over there, very sensitive, like very, I wouldn't be able to talk about, our podcast would be a problem over there, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. No. Just record it. Don't end up in jail. Don't point the camera at the wrong building.
Yes, but if I do not return home, you guys will know what's happened, right? So Cambell will have to launch some sort of like, I don't know, missionary
Rescue
and
party.
rescue mission. We have to get
Mission fatality.
all the healers in the Soul family to blast whatever's holding me bound, imprisoned. No, let's not generate that
Yeah.
notion.
Don't put that into the ether. No, no, no.
So
Don't want that.
look, um it has come to our consciousness again, and we'll end the show on this, I reckon. It's come to our consciousness again. The crystal cities. So Cameron and I, yeah, it got brought up the other day in the midst of this powerful storm, and like that crystal city concept, as when we talked about that in 2021, I think, when we were on that like line of thinking, it really did ignite and inspire a movement of consciousness around it. Like we have, if all the things Campbell and I've spoken about, of all the podcasts we've done, it's been that one that outranks anything else we've brought to the table as far as the impact and the way that it moved people and it inspired people and engaged people. And we had so many emails and comments about that topic, all people aligning with it and like committing to the concept and like ready for it. And it was really fascinating. So Campbell and I were talking about it the other day, and we and actually a lot of our connections with our elders and Indigenous brothers and sisters have come via that topic of the Crystal City and our search for the Crystal Cities in the middle of Australia. So that has come up to our consciousness again, and although we don't really have any new information to add to the idea, it's been brought to our attention once again by another senior elder who um, we feel that that's one topic. There is something in it that's powerful and true and aligned with something that is part of our future as a community. And so I just wanted to bring that up as our last point, Campbell, that, we are aware it's in front of our minds again. We're aware of it, and it hasn't gone away and it hasn't disappeared and we haven't moved on from it. It's sort of remained there as a big question mark, as if we're moving closer towards it. And obviously being here on the farm and, we've got out of the cities and we're moving closer and we're aligning with the elders, and there's a movement going on around the hunt for the Crystal City.
Yep, yep, yep. And we definitely still love to do it, to get out in the desert and have some kind of a festival or something. Involve the originals and all this kind of the indigenous people. But we're basically, we're just waiting for, I guess, a sign, right? Something to happen. We don't want to push it and just because, we don't want to just go out and do stuff just because we feel we should. So it's still there. It's definitely going to happen, but we're just
Well, we
yeah,
can't say
like
definitely.
just waiting for the right time. Well, who
We
knows?
don't
Yeah,
know. We
yeah.
don't know.
We don't
Oh,
know.
what we know is there's something about it that is powerful and resonates. And so we know that there is there is a reality there, a pathway, there is a something there that's going to be a part of our unraveling here on Tartaria Australia and with you guys. So I'm just wanting to bring that up as our last point to also remind you guys, because what we need is to sort of develop our thoughts on it and maybe have a new conversation based on a 12 months of more learning that we've all been through. So just putting out there, if anyone has anything they'd like to say on the topic of the crystal cities, anything new, anything they want to add to the conversation, like let's bring that up a little bit in volume again and just see where it goes. So autodidactic has frozen and has gone. So we can't scream at him anymore because he's gone way down the back into the bush. But everyone, I hope you enjoyed that. That was a little casual chat with Cambell and I as we sign off for our Friday afternoon on the 1st of September. 1st of September today. It's my birthday soon, Cambell. It's the 9th of the 9th, 77. That's me. Oh, hello. I was just signing off, saying goodbye and telling everyone it's my birthday soon.
We nearly got through a whole podcast,
I
man.
know.
Nearly got
I
through the
know.
whole podcast without
Yeah.
disconnecting.
So right at the end, it's what we yapping on. Oh, it was good we talking about Crystal City. Ooh. We had an
So yeah,
energetic
if you've got any
interference.
ideas, leave us a comment below. Also, if you're on Carnivore, you got any info, leave us a comment. And if you've
Or
got
anything.
any relevant information and that you want to discuss whatever, we'll leave the email below as well. You can chuck us a message, and let's see what comes of it.
Yeah, rock on, people. Like, how
All
exciting. We're
right.
moving into our power centers. I say that with a
Yeah,
high-pitched voice.
man.
I shouldn't have. We are moving into our power centers. How
So
fucking excellent. All
indeed, guys.
right.
Time to get empowered.
Yep. We'll see you later on Tartaria Australia. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Have the best week
guys. See
ever.
ya.